What up, Bulls Nation? We've got a live CHGO Bulls coming up right around the corner. On today's show, day 2 of training camp. We got a couple of injury updates. Plus, we hear from a couple of key role players, Tre Jones and Kevin Huerter, who were instrumental in the Bulls' late season success last year. Plus, a little Jonathan Kuminga talk. That's all coming up next.
I had a feeling I'd be back here. I had to come back probably a couple times in the off-season just to do some testing for my foot and things like that before I had re-signed. And every time I would be telling my wife, like, I just have a feeling, I'm going to be back. Like, I don't know what it was. So I'm just super excited to be back.
At our CHGO headquarters, West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck Bulls _Peck. That's Big Day Back. BAWL Sports. Will to go Collie, perfectly coiffed. Grew out his hair this summer. Yeah. Hey, Queen of the Controls, one and only Katie W. What up, Katie?
Studio B.
Studio B.
Oh my God.
For B. Oh man. Happy Wednesday, Bulls Nation.
Yeah.
Let's play the intro again, Katie.
I didn't know it was still going. I'm
Studio
sorry.
B said, keep it rocking.
Keep it on loop.
That's it. Loop it, you.
Scoop. Snoop a loop. Bring your hat. All right, let's go. Lots to get to on today's show, but let's start with this. We will circle back to the fresh-looking Tre Jones later on today's show.
Yeah, for real.
Got a new look.
I got questions.
But before that, we do have a couple of injury updates from today's training camp practice. So let's touch on that first. Go. What can you tell us about Kobe White, who we already knew from media days dealing with a calf strain, and Patrick Williams?
Yeah, just quickly on Patrick Williams before we get into Kobe, who I think is a little bit more of an interesting case here. Patrick, I guess, tweaked his ankle at some point. They were playing 5-on-5, and I guess he did like a jump stop and just kind of twisted it as he came down. So he ended practice early. Afterwards, we did see him riding the stationary bike. And so it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. Bill even said, I don't think it's too serious. So I'm not expecting any like major concerns there. I know people are already frustrated with him, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. So that is Patrick. I don't know if you guys want to respond to that or if I should just get into Kobe.
Dave?
I'm happy it's not, doesn't seem like it's a big thing.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with that, and he can continue on with training camp.
Yeah.
Cool. Fingers crossed, I guess. But also, as we were talking about bench rotation towards the end of the offseason, I every time forgot to include Pat. So
Yes.
a player who I don't think has earned any minutes or is going to earn any minutes or should be earning minutes has a tweaked ankle in day 2 of camp. Great. Let's all move on.
Yeah, we'll see what he does day 3. See if he's out there.
Alrighty then. On to Kobe, who is dealing with the calf injury. That happened about a month ago. We
What's that movie
learned
from,
about it at media day. It sounds like they are going to be extremely careful with him here, just because, like, Billy was saying, if you like ramp up a little bit and then it starts to get tight and then you got to take 2 weeks off and then you ramp up a little bit and then it gets tight and you got to take 2 weeks off. Like, they want to avoid that situation as much as possible. So they're really kind of shutting him down. He was doing some shooting stuff, some stationary biking, but they're really trying to make sure that he is not in a position where, because you don't want to like go into the season with this lingering. And so I think Billy said that they're operating with an overabundance of caution. And I think the idea is basically just to prevent this from lasting through the season, because I think that is when, some more bad outcomes can happen, right? If like you are constantly dealing with, play a couple of games, now your calf tightness is coming back. So you got to take a couple weeks off and then you come back. That's when I think like it can be a little bit dangerous. So trying to make sure that it's completely gone before he really ramps up. I think it will hurt him a little bit in terms of his ability to like get acclimated with this team and like, training camp. I think not having him there is, it's not a huge deal, but it is something. But I would rather do it this way than like risk him going into the season with this like hanging over his head and be something that you have to deal with every 2 weeks, which I think we see a lot with players. I mean, Luka has dealt with this a lot, Tatum, Giannis, like a lot of guys have this situation, and the soft tissue stuff, you can't be too careful with it.
It's true.
It sucks because it sucks, but also I think the silver lining is that Kobe and his teammates are all already very familiar with one another. This is the same team returning from last season, post-trade deadline, with the arrivals of Huerter, Collins, and Trey, save for Isaac Okoro and Noah Essengue, a rookie who we're not sure how much, if at all, he's going to see the floor in the early going. So Kobe missing out on training camp practices, training camp 5-on-5 runs, and maybe likely also preseason action is not the end of the world when you're talking about building chemistry, because all these guys, again, save for Okoro, have played with Kobe and know how to play with Kobe. Yeah. But Dave, as a Bulls fan, you still can't just, tighten up a little bit. When you hear GOAT use that phrase, ramp up, and try to figure out when to try and ramp up a player. Lonzo's gone. Why are we still talking about ramping up? God damn it.
I mean, everybody in the league uses that terminology. That's just like what people say
6 to 8 weeks?
Sports.
Yeah.
We don't have like a timeline on it. Initially, they said they don't really expect him to play for the first couple preseason games. To me, that sounds like maybe he's back for the last game or two of preseason. I believe they have 5, but like I just wouldn't mess with it. Like he's too important to your team and to your future to where that could affect his season and then his next contract. And you don't want to mess with that stuff. It's too fragile.
Yeah. Sit down.
Yeah.
And Matt said it all. I don't need to see it. He doesn't need to prove that he's ready for the season. He doesn't need to fight for his starting lineup position out there on the floor. We know who Kobe White is. Is he the longest tenured Bull here?
Yes.
He is. We know what he can do. We understand what Kobe White is. Sit down. See you game 1. I don't need to see the practice. I don't need to see if his jumper is together. You know what I'm saying? In preseason, I don't need to see none of that, man. Tyrese Halliburton has me terrified of calf strains, all right? Terrified. Thank you, Sam Smith. I love you very much. Terrified. Sit down, just relax. Like Will said, it's not soft tissue stuff. It's not something you want to mess around with, man. So just let it heal. Come back 100%, because I don't even want him 99. I want him at 100% because this is his most important season for his future as an NBA player. This is his most important season, man. And the Bulls need him. They need him to be on the floor and ready to go. So get ready to go during the 82-game season. I'm cool with that. Get your first 4 games in, see how it looks, see how it goes. But training camp, preseason, let's see your cool outfits while you're sitting on the sideline, man. Sit down. Love you, Kobe.
Yeah. So there's that. We'll see if we get any additional updates on Kobe and or Pat in the practices to come. The Bulls have practice scheduled each day. Yesterday being their first training camp practice all the way through. I believe they're having weekend practices as well, Saturday and Sunday. Then they'll have a day off before their preseason opener next Tuesday.
I think just Saturday, but
Saturday?
I'm not sure if we'll even have that.
I think the original press release included them saying that they were going to practice on Sunday, but I mean, that's the Lord's Day and the Lord is football. Even if the Bears have a bye, like, what are you doing with them? NBA practice? No.
Do they practice on Sundays? Teams do that?
I mean, like,
for sure, yeah.
Okay.
In season, once the schedule is totally random, which days of the week you're playing, if it works out.
Well, yeah, during that, yeah. I'm just being like training camp.
Also, like, I think
I've been to the Advocate Center on many Sundays.
There you go.
Where's your smile?
Is that not where you want to be on Sundays, going?
No comment or judgment. Just stating a fact.
Just that's where he is.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Speaking of that's where he is, Kuminga, Golden State.
Jonathan Kuminga.
That's where he is.
Let's see.
He's still there. This news broke right as we were wrapping up yesterday's show, so we wanted to just at least touch on it briefly today, because Kuminga's name is the one that we kept talking about through the dog days of the offseason, because he, alongside Josh Giddey, was one of those in a rock and a hard place situation, restricted free agents. We finally get the report from Shams yesterday. that he and the Warriors have come to terms on a deal, 2 years and 48 whatever million.
0.5.
There you go.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. There's also the team option part of this, which Sham basically used to say, this could turn into a Kuminga if he wants to, and the Warriors want him to get on out of here a year from now.
Kuminga Bazinga?
Bazinga. Where does the Bazinga go? Is the question, Dave.
That is the question.
Is it like I honestly I'm so sick of this conversation. I feel like we had it 8 different times.
Retweet.
Katie is also sick of this conversation.
She is.
But as soon as this news came out, everybody on Bulls Twitter was like, "What does this mean?"
Because they're going to
I don't know.
well.
I don't know. Are the Bulls going to pursue Kuminga in free agency next year? Maybe they'll be one of several teams. I don't know. What do you think, Dave?
This is something that intrigued me after I spoke to my colleague, Will to Go Goblin. And when I heard, you know what I'm saying, about that, like, oh man, this opens up, and then Sean's reporting it too, saying, you know, it kind of opens up, you know, that eligibility for him more in January when that trade deadline comes. Well, how could that not be Bulls news? Like, for the guy everybody's been talking about for this past off season. Now it come to find out, yeah, the availability is much more realer for him much more real in January. So depending on what the Bulls are doing, again, incredibly important season, depending on what they're doing when they get around to that deadline with a guy that you know that they wanted on this team, if they're able to make a move for him where it's good for their books and it's good for their team, why wouldn't the Bulls be trying to make calls, you know, about Jonathan Kuminga, depending on what Golden State is doing as well? So I think this is interesting. I found it very interesting after speaking to my colleague.
I mean, I think it's pretty interesting too because it puts him in play as a trade candidate. And, you know, I think the Bulls being one of the few teams that can really open up a lot of cap space puts them in a position where, you know, they can go out and make a big trade. And if it's not somebody that they're going to sign outright in free agency, maybe it's somebody like Kuminga who they could go after. And I'm sure we'll talk about other names. I've got a little list building here of people that they could go after. And with this new contract, he's not going to be eligible to be traded until January 15th. But I think at the deadline, they'll be looking to package him with maybe some of their other players to either bring in another star or to turn him into 2 rotation players. And maybe that's where, you know, hopefully Al Horford is able to stay healthy. But if he's not, maybe Vooch becomes somebody that they're interested in again. And now with him making like $22 million, they're able to send out a little bit more salary. You don't have to worry about the base year compensation stuff, but you do have the deadline of January 15th before you can trade him. So, you know, I think he really wants to find a long-term home. I think he obviously wants to get paid, but I also think that like he basically waived his no trade clause, his implied no trade clause. So there is going to be a little bit of, you know, uncertainty from his perspective of where he ends up. But with the team option, you know, it's a pretty valuable deal. And so I'm curious to see. I would imagine he gets traded at some point this year. At the latest, okay. I would guess the offseason. But I think that this is basically just like a trade exception in a lot of ways. And so it'll be curious to see who ends up going after him. But with the Bulls being one of the few teams that can open up space, they're in position to re-sign him long term. And so I think that puts them in a spot where they could be the team that ends up going for it. So I think that's interesting. We also got word today that Quentin Grimes took the qualifying offer. So he is going to be making, what is it, 8.8 million?
8 point something.
Shout out, sir.
For the 1 year.
You know, that one doesn't really like move me too much in terms of like a Bulls related thing. But I did want to read this one quote from the ESPN article. It says, David Bauman, who's the agent, said the Sixers' formal proposal of the offseason came on September 24th, nearly 3 months into free agency, 4 years, $39 million. This is a guy who averaged like 28.5 for the Sixers down the stretch. So $39 million over 4 years. Days later, Grimes was offered a 1 year, $8.8 million deal that gave him $100,000 more than his qualifying offer to waive the inherent no trade clause. Those frameworks were declined and negotiations never advanced. So like we talked a lot about Giddey and strong arming him and making him feel like he was not, you know, going to be thrilled about re-signing. Like that is what hardballing looks like. Yeah. What the Bulls did with Giddey is not at all what hardballing looks like. And I think there's a big difference there when you're thinking about making sure the guy seems happy. Like Giddey, I mean, obviously restricted free agents overall did not do as well as they would have wanted, but I think Giddey made out the best of any of those four by far, $100 million guaranteed. So, yeah, I think obviously like the relationship there, especially when you put it into that context, not something anybody should be worried about.
All right, with that, let's knock out our first ad break. When we come back on the other side, a quick tease of GOAT's Noah Essengue feature column that dropped on ALLCITY.com earlier today. And then we will dive into what we heard from Billy Donovan, Tre Jones, and Kevin Huerter after today's training camp practice. All still ahead next. Hit the like. Here's some ads.
Studio B. RC Cola.
Oh!
You see that excitement?
Yeah!
Because guess what he's about to do?
Bam!
Punch himself in the dang gone thirst.
Whoa.
Oh, consider yourself punched, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, it's a beautiful thing to have when your thirst deserves a right and a left. And you get that from RC Cola, ladies and gentlemen. You got a little Jack Dempsey, a little Tom O'Leary right here.
Glad you got that.
RC Cola is the OG cola in the world of spineless soft drinks. No trends, no gimmicks, no woozies. For the love of the blurry quaff, there are no wazies at all. It's that same bold, crisp flavor it's always been. It's been around since 1905. They ain't need to change nothing. Why? Because it's already amazing. Come on. And it's punch in the thirst. That's what I just told you. So do yourself a favor and grab some RC at your local store. Stock up on all your end of summer parties, back to school celebrations, beginning of football celebrations, or just chilling and watching the game. RC is your move for whatever you are doing out there, because it's RC Cola, the real taste of Chicago.
After you get your RC Cola, before you sit down to watch the game, you got to get your bets in.
Bet!
Today's show is brought to you by Bet365. And right now, if you download the Bet365 app and put in promo code CHGO365 when you sign up and place your first $5 bet, you will get $200 in bonus bets.
Yeah.
Win or lose that bet, doesn't matter. You're getting a $200 either way. And they've got awesome offers throughout the entire NFL season. Thursday Night Football, which is coming up tomorrow, $10 safety net bets. Sunday Night Football, $365,000 jackpot that you can get in on. Monday Night Football, also offering a 50% super profit boost token on same game parlays. Double your winnings on parlays with Bet365's 100% parlay boost. So what are you waiting for? Download it today, and don't forget that promo code CHGO365 when you sign up. Must be 21 and older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. Isn't that the politically correct term these days?
It just sounded so fancy.
Hey, we back. CHGO Bulls hanging out in Studio B on Wednesday afternoon. Pack Big Dave, Goat, Katie on the controls. Wanted to quickly tease something that you diehards may have already gotten a chance to read today. If not, go read it later tonight. A little evening supper reading. Goat had a great chat with the German league coach, Ty Harrelson, who worked with Noah Essengue when he was playing pro overseas before getting drafted. And some great stuff in there. Goat, what's the elevator pitch for this awesome column that's available to diehards now?
Yeah, go check it out. Basically just about like his whole mentality and work ethic and some of the questions there. So I don't want to give too much away. I want you guys to go read it, but some really good conversation with, the head coach of his team who told me about his decision to leave early for the draft and leave during the finals. Talked to me about some questions that teams maybe had about him in the pre-draft process, where he thought he might have gone in the draft. So I think we're going to share one quote. Katie, if you can throw it up. But yeah, overall, really cool story. And it was great to talk with his coach. But he said, when he maybe doesn't look very competitive, he actually is very competitive. It's just his body language doesn't look it, or his facial expression doesn't say the same thing as somebody who's really yelling and celebrating all the time. But I found him to be very competitive, and he liked to be challenged. So just an interesting time kind of hearing the coach's perspective of how he feels Noah needs to be coached. And I think especially when you think back to last season about Modest and the way that Billy coached him up and the way that Modest wants to be coached, as he said during media day. And, some of the other players on the team, I think it'll be sort of interesting to see how they bring him along with that in mind. So there's some really good stuff in there. He was super candid and really shared a lot about his whole mentality and process. And I think it's something to definitely monitor as the early parts of his career.
I don't want to ask you what you learned about Essengue, because you'll do that in the article. But what did you learn about the coach?
Just sharp basketball mind. And I think he thinks about, like, obviously, you know, their team went to the finals. Like, he's trying to win games. He's a competitor. But I think for Ulm, the team that Noah played for and the team that Harrelson coaches, like, they've kind of built their brand around, like, letting young players, like, explore their games and let them grow and make mistakes on the court, but actually get some time. A lot of professional European teams, Australian teams, they don't let that happen. They don't let the players, especially young players, get a lot of minutes. And so it was interesting to hear his sort of basketball philosophies about how he manages that and what players need. And that's really what this whole story is about.
Cool.
So go check that out, allchgo.com. Katie, if you want to throw the QR code up one more time, thank you. To sign up to become a diehard, if you aren't one already, now is better time than any with all of basketball and hockey getting underway. We got Cubs and postseason baseball right now. And of course, the Bears on their bye right now, but still some great content from our CHGO Bears team. Plus this awesome Noah Essengue feature from the one and only GOAT himself. And we are still running that sale right now. Sign up to become a diehard, just $36 for your first year with a free shirt, or the awesome new collab we did with Branded Bills for CHGO hats. That's $59 for your first year. I just got my new Branded Bills CHGO hat in the mail yesterday. Oh, it's so sweet.
Looks smooth.
Oh, gosh.
Smooth and cool.
In Bears, Navy, and Orange. It looks so cool.
Can I make
Very
two more
happy.
plugs about Die Hard
Plug
signups?
on.
You
okay,
can.
so one other real perk right now is that we are getting Tim Cato, who was the Mavs beat writer for The Athletic
Shout out.
for a handful of years, and then with our sister site, DLLS, for last season. He's now going to be covering the NBA at large. And so he did a piece that's also on our site right now about, you know, trends in the league that people should look out for. So a little bit more of an NBA national perspective. And he's going to be writing a little bit. He's going to be joining our show from time to time. So that's really cool. And then also, we, in our Die Hard Discord, decided to start a little bit of a fantasy basketball league. So I'm going to be joining that along with some other people. I think we have a couple of spots remaining. So if you are a diehard, if you are in the Discord, you can go into that NBA fantasy room, you know, tab or whatever, and join us and play along with me. So that'll be really fun if people aren't for that.
Also, quick plug, because I see Trick Daddy Dex, my guy, says the Die Hard Discord is lit too. I will be in the Die Hard Discord tonight.
Let's go.
So come hang out and see how lit it can be, ladies and gentlemen. Yes.
That Discord hang, only for diehards.
Only for diehards,
Plus,
man.
of course, 20% discount anytime you shop that All City
Boom.
merch
Yeah.
store.
Yeah.
And discount tickets to all of our fun events.
Yeah, bro.
Including those CHGO Bears tailgates all
Tailgate's
season long.
amazing.
What are you waiting for?
Seriously.
What are you waiting for? It
Save
is
you some money and come hang.
incredible value. Sign up to become a diehard today.
Yes.
All right. With that, it's time to take the temp. Let's take the temp. Brought to you by our friends at Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit FourSeasonsHeatingCooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's FourSeasonsHeatingCooling.com. They do both, Dave. Heating, cooling. Does your child also heat, or does your child just cool?
Just cool.
Just cool.
Just cool, baby. That's
Do
all
you
I
ever
need.
want-
I'm guessing you
You never
rarely
want heat.
are in need of heat.
I'm all heat all
Dave
day.
generates heat.
You feel me? Furnace, baby. 24/7.
I feel it.
Time it works.
It's a warm glow.
That's it.
Keeps
you
me
feel
calm.
me?
Keeps
That's
me
it.
calm.
Yeah, man.
Keeps
Time
me as
real.
sedated as possible.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
It was worse before he came into my life.
Now that is fair.
Yeah.
That is fair. That is fair.
Okay. Next thing we wanted to get to was who we heard from at practice today, or after practice today, rather, including a couple of very important role players from the Bulls' hot stretch last season, guys that arrived in that Zach LaVine trade, Tre Jones and Kevin Huerter. Let's start with Tre Jones,
Okay.
who, my goodness, his impact
Yeah,
in
man.
a short, 18 games
Yeah.
after the trade arrival and then before he got hurt, boy, did he look good. So he was talking a bit to Goat and his fellow Bulls beat members after today's practice about his role on this team. You heard some of it right at the top of the show. Here is a bit more, Katie, if you will.
I think the style of play was huge for me, being able to gel so quickly with the guys, and also just the guys accepting, us three that got traded in here. They accepted us, very quickly, helped us get acclimated to everything going on so quickly, and it was a great group of unselfish guys that also helped us. So I don't think it was necessarily anything we did. I think just the coaches and then our teammates, helping us get caught up right away, and then us just fitting in nicely. Yeah, I'm ready for whatever the team asks of me. Obviously, like you said, we're not banged up coming into this year, which is nice. So we'll have a lot more bodies coming into the year, and we're all trying to figure out our roles and everything like that. But whatever the team asks and needs from me, I'll be ready to try to give my all in my role and just do whatever I can to help the team win.
All right.
Who is that?
So that was Tre Jones.
Tre Jones?
After practice today,
What?
I saw somebody in the comments earlier saying like, "Yo, I didn't even recognize him at first."
How many R&B singers we got on this team? Like, man,
All of them?
goodness, Tre Jones. He look cool. I wasn't used to seeing him like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
man,
it's kind of Jerry curl. It didn't look greasy.
Just a little,
This
but
was
not
like-
drippy though.
Like, it wasn't drippy.
No.
Jerry curl. Just,
No.
curl.
Just curl.
My goodness.
You know what I mean? Just active curls. Look like he was trying to work a soul patch right here, man. It just came out like a little bigger. Shout out to his
Because
album.
he was rocking pretty decently long braids last season,
Yes,
right?
correct. Yeah. His joints
I was
braided
what
up.
the-
Nice.
Who is this dude?
Who is this guy? Looks nice. Good look on you, man.
But, so I think we're projecting that Trey will be an important piece of the Bulls bench.
Yeah.
However, Dave, as you made note of, he also started 9.
He did.
For the Bulls in that short stint. He started in 9, came off the bench in 9, and he was very productive and put up even better numbers as a starter. But, he can produce off the bench as well.
Yes, he can do it in both ways. So as a starter with Tre Jones, their numbers were a little better. He was 6-3 as a starter, and in a couple of games, Giddey didn't play on one, but 6-3 as a starter.
You're talking the Bulls record. The Bulls
yes,
went
the Bulls
6-3 in the games that Trey started.
Yes. As a guy coming off the bench, they were 2-7. Now, to be fair, that was when he first got here and walked in. So they were still figuring some things out, still kind of getting it together. But I will say the Bulls' longest losing streak of the season, which I believe was 6 games, was when Tre Jones first got here. The Bulls' longest winning streak of the season was when Tre Jones was playing and actually in and out of that starting lineup for the Chicago Bulls. Which was 4 games. They did it twice. They did it in that second half. They had those 4 wins in a row. But it was other stuff that I found interesting just about Tre Jones. Just looking at, because I feel like his impact with Giddey was pretty evident. Just looking at it on the floor. I think those guys worked well together. I like him, Tre Jones, having the ball. And Giddey is a guy, he needs the ball to be, really great. But he's not bad when he's off the ball because Giddey is always constantly moving and doing things out there on the floor. So always making cuts, will get easy layups, always going to the offensive glass, doing things like that. And when his 3-point shooting improved, he did his thing on that. But with Tre Jones, just as a duo with those 2 guys out there, for duos that played 100+ minutes, their offensive rating was 122, 122.1.
Wow.
And yeah, pretty solid. But what really got me was the pace that they were on the floor. So as a duo with Giddey and Jones on the floor, their pace was 101.6. Now the Bulls' pace was 103.6. That 101 is still 5th best in the NBA. So it's slower, but it's still good. I love it so much because it slows the game down in the 4th quarter, right? That's when you need the game to slow down because you can't be running all around teams. It gets serious. It gets more kind of maybe one-on-one, maybe more half-court offense comes into play. When those guys are out there on the floor, they prioritize 2s more than they do 3s, which is not something the Bulls did. I think 38% of their shots, I believe, were 3-pointers. But when those guys are on the floor in the 4th quarter, it works so well together because Tre Jones is really good in the half court. So their turnover, if you look over that turnover assist ratio, if you combine it, I believe it was 2.3 for both of those guys combined when they're on the floor. Pretty damn good. So the numbers kind of back up that Josh Giddey and Tre Jones play very well together. So for me, it's starting to feel like a no-brainer that Tre Jones is the guy that's going to be backing up Josh Giddey and the guy that will be in the game in that 4th quarter. because I also looked at that 4-game streak, Matt. 4 of those games, of course, we remember were 3 of them were the Magic, the Heat, and Brooklyn. We remember that Magic game, okay? Because the Bulls were down.
Was that Kobe's career high game?
Yeah, when he went crazy, he had 17 in that fourth quarter. They were down 101-96 after 3. And they outscored them 29-22. Tre Jones had 10 in the fourth quarter. In that Heat game, they were down 89-78 after 3. They outscored the Heat 36-20. And Tre Jones had 13 in that fourth quarter. Now, against Brooklyn, where he was starting and they made their comeback, because they outscored Brooklyn 34-18 in that fourth quarter. Tre didn't score as much, but he had 4 assists out there. He had 5 points and 4 assists. So he is impacting them in the fourth quarter when you got to have it. And we saw that many, many times when he was out there for the Chicago Bulls during his very short tenure out there, but impactful time out there. You can't help but think about that play-in game when you look at these kind of numbers, because you can't put Bam Adebayo on him. You can put Bam on Ayo. You could cheat a little with Bam on Ayo. You can't put him on Tre Jones, man. You just can't do that. That's not something they're going to do. So he can take away certain things to give them a certain look that they just didn't have when they were in that play-in game. And he gave them something they didn't have, which was security at that point guard position. I can for real sit here and make an argument to you that as a pure point guard, he's the best one on the team. I can argue it. I won't be right, but I can argue this, that Tre Jones is like that, because he sets everything up. And I love a point guard with that kind of point guardsmanship, who sets everything up, who raises the IQ that's on the floor and does the dirty work. He does the steals. He plays solid defense, and he's hitting his threes. His point, I believe, for the season with the Bulls, just again, short stint, I believe he was like a 50-50-80, when he was with the Bulls. 88% from the free throw line, shooting, I believe, 51% from 3, and 57 from
the field, 50 on the nose from 3, and 88 from the line.
It's excellent stuff, man.
Crazy splits.
So we want to see more, of course. There's more, and he's going to get the opportunity for us to see more from him. But what we saw, we really liked, and it was enough for the Bulls to say, here's a 3-year contract for you to figure it out.
All right, you know what? Right there, let's knock out our second ad break. When we come back on the other side, we'll pick up this Tre Jones conversation and also hear about his coach, Billy Donovan, talking about Tre's role with these Bulls. We'll also set our goals for Tre this season. Hit the like while you listen to some ads.
Chicago Sports Network is the official TV and streaming home of the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox, broadcasting over 300 live games per year. And CHSN offers an all-access plan, $29.99 a month, that gives you access to all games and programming on the network, and individual team plans, $19.99 a month, that give you access to the games of the team that you select. You can sign up and watch CHSN at chsn.com, or you can watch via the CHSN app, which is something you can download. Apple, Android devices, Fire TV, Roku, Samsung TV, they got you. CHSN is also available on Xfinity, DirecTV Stream, and Fubo. CHSN is where you need to visit for more details.
Quick question. What time is it?
Game time hoot.
Today's show brought to you by Game Time, the best app in the ticketing industry. It is the best time of year when it comes to sports. We got basketball and hockey right around the corner. We already got preseason hockey action. Basketball's next. Plus, we got the Bears playing all those home games at Soldier Field. If you are looking to get in on the action, you got to check out Game Time and their zone deals. Save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time do the selecting. Plus, they offer that great seat view feature, which means you can get a panoramic view from your exact seat at the event that you are getting tickets for. Plus, they offer their lowest price guarantee. If you find the exact same ticket, same seat, same event for a cheaper price on a different site, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference.
Oh, nice.
And they have your purchase covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So what are you waiting for? Take the guesswork out of buying tickets for the NFL, concerts, comedy, theater, and much more. Game Time. When you create an account, put in promo code CHGO to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account. Use promo code CHGO to redeem $20 off. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today because big day, what time is it?
Game time!
We're back. CHGO Bulls rolling on Wednesday afternoon. We're talking Tre Jones and his role on this Bulls team. Split game started and game was off the bench in his 18 for the Bulls after the trade. And when he was starting, Bulls were winning a lot of games. He was producing big numbers in, modest minutes. Billy Donovan, his coach, also spoke about Tre after today's practice and shared some of his insights on what he observed from Tre at the trade when he arrived and in between then and now coming into this season. Katie, go ahead.
I think there's a lot of substance to Tre. I mentioned the it factor, a lot of intangible things that he just brings to the table. He's consistent every day as a person. He's a really good competitor. He's got a really high IQ. I think he's really good with the guys. He sees the game, through a leadership point guard role in terms of trying to make people better. Listen, I think that you always go back when that happened during the year, and you look at the minutes and you say, in some way did the minutes create, what ended up happening to his foot. I don't know if it did or it didn't. It's hard to say, but you have to at least take into consideration the fact that he went from playing a certain amount of minutes in San Antonio to a pretty big spike for us, right? So, had that maybe contributed? Possibly, but I think his role is going to be important. And the thing that's great with him is whether it's starting, coming off the bench, whatever he's always tries to figure out ways to impact the game.
That's Billy Donovan, Bulls head coach, talking about Tre Jones, what he did well for them last season after the trade, and making that impact off the bench. And yeah, he looked good as a starter last season too, but I think this season, realistically, you have to talk about how you can optimize Tre Jones and what he does well for the Bulls' second unit.
Right, and I think what the Bulls want to be able to do is pick up right where they left off with their second unit. So Tre is a well-paid backup point guard because he's going to have a big role in this team, because he can slot right in and do a lot of the same stuff that Giddey can do in terms of table setting and pushing the pace. Obviously, he's not the same size player, doesn't have all the same strengths, but they have similar skill sets. And I think Tre can really help juice that second unit. But I also think he's a very smart player away from the ball. He's not an elite shooter, but he can make some threes. 50% with the Bulls. It was a pretty small sample size, though. Only 22 3-point attempts in 18 games. So he doesn't take a lot, but a lot of it is just back cuts, getting to the rim and finishing behind the defense. He's just a smart player. And that's why actually after, I think it was the game where he got hurt, he had just come off this incredible game. And I think he left on the last possession or one of the last few possessions. They ended up losing. But it was just this guy's a keeper. You got to keep him around because he just plays the way that Billy Donovan wants to play. And he said it today after practice. I was very glad that they brought Tre back. It seems like they developed a really strong relationship and trust right away. I think Tre felt that too. I was asking him about his decision to come back to Chicago, if there were any other teams that he might have been interested in, talking to, or if just the fact that he gelled so quickly and made such an impression with Billy in the first however many games that it was just him wanting to come back. And that's basically what it was. He wanted to be back here. He always kind of thought that would be the case. I don't know if we're going to play any more clips from his interview, but he spoke very glowingly about Chicago, about the relationship with Billy, the style of play, and feeling like he could really make an impact with that based on the small sample size, but the success that he had there.
Yeah, shout out to him. I mean, the proof is in the pudding for everything we just kind of saw about him. I love Billy talking about the IQ because, again, that's, I love that very, very much. Smart young man. Yeah, he does all the little tiny things. And when you got a guy that does those things for you, it makes it easier for your real scorers around you to do their thing. And that's why I think the success with Giddey was like that. That's why I think the success with Kobe when he was scoring like that was like that. Because when you're getting more twos than you are threes, when it's time to get those threes and they're collapsing on the lane, well, guess what? Who's going to be out there by themselves? It's shooters. So Kobe White will be out there doing that, and Josh Giddey can get off into the corner and do that as well. So he was vitally important to the Bulls. We'll see if it continues on.
The thing that always shines through with smart ball handlers, and Bulls, Billy was talking about it media day. He was talking about it more yesterday's practice. They weren't a great team when it came to creating turnovers versus committing turnovers. And that's going to be an emphasis on both sides of the ball. Smart ball handlers do their best to put that advantage on your team side.
Yeah.
Protect the ball, make smart decisions with the ball. You know, that also would help Billy in the other goal he was talking about Monday and yesterday, which is we got to start getting that gap closed about number of possessions we have, number of shots we have compared to our opponents.
Yes.
On that note, let's dive into what we want to see from Tre Jones this season. It's proven time, y'all. Still had a few left. I went right there with mine. It is something that I found most impressive about Tre Jones' short 18-game stint with the Bulls last season. It's what I want to see him continue this season. Gentlemen and lady, did you know that last season in NBA regular season games, among players who played at least 30 games,
Okay.
Tyrese Halliburton led the league in assist-to-turnover ratio at 5.6. The next name on that list is Tre Jones at 5.5.
Wow.
That 5.5 includes Tre Jones' time in San Antonio before the trade in his 46 total games played.
Okay.
But still, second best assist-to-turnover ratio in the NBA behind only Tyrese Halliburton.
Pretty good.
His Bulls-specific assist-to-turnover ratio was even better. It was 6.3.
That's pretty good.
It was 6.3
Pretty darn
assists
good.
to turnover. Didn't he have one, maybe two double-digit assist games? We're like, oh my gosh, Tre's just slinging dimes all over the place.
Slanging them.
It's gorgeous. So that's what I want to see him continue this season. I think I actually said it modestly at 5.5, which was his season number last year. Is that right, Katie? So that's what I was impressed by with Tre. When you're talking about him potentially leading the Bulls' second unit offensively, I want to see him be that brilliant and that protective of the basketball, because you don't. Sometimes your second unit can get sloppy, and that leads to turnovers, and that leads to your second unit digging you a hole.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, I that's wonderful, actually. And I agree with Fish. I mean, that's good backup point guard work.
It's great.
That's what it does for you, and it gives Billy actually peace of mind, knowing he can put that guy out there, continue on with what they're doing as far as what they're happening on the offensive end of the floor. So, no, it's a great thing, man.
Yeah, and I think here you go.
Oh, thank you.
Bye, Bear. We saw.
Yeah, sad. I think like a lot of times with high assist to turnover guys, like it's because they're not taking a lot of risks with the basketball. And like for Halliburton, for example, like he's the best in the league at it because not only is he very high assist, very low turnover, but he's still making like really risky plays. And like that's just a special skill. Like he's like absolutely elite at that. I think that's like not that's an underrated element of his game. But with Tre, I don't think he's making the same like high degree of difficulty passes. He's not like threading the needle. He's not breaking guys down off the defense and creating offense for himself. But I think that's okay for what his role is. Like he just needs to like make the right play, get the ball up ahead, and like not turn it over. We talked a lot about like the possession battle last few days. That's a huge piece of it. And so, you know, I think in the modern NBA, you do need a point guard that is more of a scorer that can like create their own shot, break down defenses, draw help, and spray it out. The Bulls don't really have that guy, but they have, you know, a point guard, starting point guard who can like really facilitate one of the best passers in the league. And then in their backup spot, I think they also have a really high level, high feel player who just makes the right reads and doesn't make mistakes. And when you're a high turnover team and you're not forcing a lot of turnovers, you have to take care of the basketball. You cannot afford to have a big gap when it comes to the turnover battle every night. And I think Tre really helps you there.
I love that you talked about scoring on there because I went offense and defense for my prove it for one Tre Jones. Don't know if that's his name. That's what I'm calling him. I went with the 3-point attempts first. I would like him to take 2 3-pointers a game. With the Bulls, he was averaging 1.2 a game. The reason I went with 2 was in his best 2 seasons in the NBA, which were both with San Antonio, he was taking 2.3 and 2.5 3-pointers a game when it came to his scoring and output. What was he shooting? He wasn't shooting. He was only shooting like 28% and then 33%.
Yeah.
But he was averaging like 13 points a game and then 10 points a game. But here, I feel it would be more condensed with that. And he went crazy with his scoring here with the Bulls, averaging 11 points a game in that little short span of time. But him getting in this kind of offense, as I said, 38% of their shots were 3-pointers. Getting in this kind of offense, I'm going to need him to take at least 2 of those threes. And in the fourth quarter, I think he's going to be open in some of those situations. Josh Giddey is going to be driving and kicking when he makes that decision to get downhill. So he's either going to get to the bucket and try to get fouled, or somebody's going to need to be open, for that three-pointer. And I think if Tre Jones is out there, which I expect him to be in that fourth quarter, I would like those attempts to get up to 2 a game. As far as defense, I believe did I have 1.5, Katie? Was that what it was? 0.9. Oh, yes.
Very
0.9.
specific.
0.9
Steals?
is what I went with. Steals, yes. And I said 1.5 in my head because that's what it was originally, but then I was like, nah, that's a little too much. Because he was averaging 1.3, but then I looked at the time he was playing on the floor, and I was like, I don't know if he'll be, getting those same kind of minutes and opportunities to do that. But what I remember most about Tre Jones was the defense and what he did, and the steals that he was causing and the turnovers he caused while he was here for the Chicago Bulls. So 1.1 steals is what he averaged for the Bulls. I'm chalking a little of that up to he was just on a heater. He was doing his thing. All those numbers and everything was clicking real hard for him. But I don't think it would be that far gone for him to get 0.9. Outside of that 1.3, we've seen him have 1.0. We've seen him have 0.8. So I figured 0.9, just being as that bench player who will be playing more minutes in the fourth quarter too, is something that is absolutely achievable for a guy like Tre Jones. So just an uptick on your three-point shooting and a slight uptick on your steals.
For a guy his size, he really did make some pretty, momentum swinging defensive plays that got the Bulls out in transition. I was impressed by it. What do you want to see from Tre?
Yeah, I went defense too on this. I feel like I really know who he is as an offensive player. Ooh. Super steady, super smart player. Not going to turn the ball over. Not going to, like I said, make any off the dribble, incredible offensive plays, but I don't think the Bulls really need that out of him. What they do need is somebody that can come in and generate some turnovers. And so I went 2% steal rate, which would not be a career high, but 0.1 off of it, which was that same year that he averaged 1.5 steals. 1.9 steal rate last year. So just upping it a little bit here, I think that 2 is a really good number where if you're basically getting 2 steals per 100 possessions, that's just generating so much of the Bulls' transition offense, which is really all they kind of can hang their hat on at this point. And so I think for him, one, that's going to help him earn more minutes because I don't think that there are a lot of guys, even Okoro is not really a high turnover generating player. So if Tre can really slide into that role and deliver a bunch of deflections, a bunch of steals, and run out transition opportunities, I think that's going to continue to ingratiate him with Billy, but just help him earn more minutes and just help him carve out a bigger role. Because as we talked about with the possession battle, it's so much of it is taking care of the basketball on your end, but it's also about forcing the other team into turnovers. And it's not just dead ball, strip the ball out of bounds, and now you're playing against a set defense. It's those can help you in your transition game, and those can help you score against 2-on-1 or 3-on-0 or whatever it is. And that's how the Bulls are going to score. That's how they're going to make their living on offense. I think they really need to be a little bit more aggressive in the passing lanes, be a little bit more aggressive guarding the ball, and not sell out for steals, but put themselves in a position where they can turn that defense into offense.
Brazil Popular in the chat saying 3-point attempts is feasible, really, referring to, I think, Dave's goal for Tre. With the gravity of Io and Huerter, he's going to be open a lot. Nick P in the chat saying, is Tre a dark horse to start at all? A strong on-ball defender. They're hiding Josh on the weakest guard or small forward anyway. Not sure if Kevin, Kobe, Josh is better or worse defensively than Tre, Kobe, Josh.
I'm telling you, he's more of the fourth quarter guy.
So again,
that's it.
Sometimes we share a brain. I was going to say start, I don't know, and probably not. But could we see Tre Jones on the floor late in close games?
For sure.
Yes, I very much think so. Because we saw plenty of that in the 18 games that he played for us last season.
And he executes in multiple different schemes too. He was really good in the zone. He was really good full court pressure. Those happen to be the 2 things that Arturas brought up when he was talking about playing with more physicality. So I just think he's going to be really involved, whether it's starting, bench, closing, anything like that. He's just going to be a big part of this team.
Right. But speaking of Kevin Huerter, who is fighting for that last starting spot, alongside Isaac Okoro, maybe Io, maybe Pat, we'll see. Kevin Huerter talked to y'all after today's practice, Coat, and he talked about his role moving into a fresh season, his first full season with the Bulls. Katie, drop it.
They haven't really gone too far, telling us exactly what they're looking for. Billy just said to everybody, just for me especially, just be myself. whatever that entails, and play to my strengths. And like I said, the rest is up to him and his judgment, whatever he thinks we need.
What about the competition itself between you and Isaac and maybe Io and Trey in there? Like, what just in scrimmaging and stuff like that, how's that been?
Yeah, there's competition every day. It's been a lot of fun. Even before this week, here all of September, we played a lot of pickup and just being competitive, going at each other. Even in the weight room, guys talking. Again, it's a lot of guys that, like I said, our strength is our depth is a strength. I think there's a lot of guys who can play a lot of minutes, who deserve to play a lot of minutes, and I think kind of making each other better every day has been great.
So, Go, what was your impression of hearing from Huerter for the first time here, day 2 of training camp, and how he views himself on this team coming into a fresh year?
Yeah, I think he really knows who he is as a player and what he has to offer to this team. And we've talked about this for years, like especially during the DeRozan era, where I was like, you guys need a movement shooter, somebody that can come in and bend the defense a little bit, somebody who can create a little bit of extra gravity going away from the basket so that DeMar can do what he does and so that Vooch can do what he does. And they have that guy in Huerter. I think he really impressed me with what he can do as a floor spacer and as somebody who can come off of pin downs and just like catch and shoot. But he's also like pretty good with the ball in his hands. He can put the ball on the floor. He can make some plays. I think he had a lot of runway to be able to do that with the Bulls. I don't know that he will have quite the same as he did down the stretch last year when they were missing Io and Trey, but he'll have opportunities to like attack closeouts. And if teams are really selling out to contest him, that's going to open up the lane where he can either get to the basket or make the right play, make the right read. So I think he offers a lot to this team in terms of his ability to stretch defenses out. He's also, I think, got to be a solid enough defender to where he puts himself in that position. But I think he just gives you another dynamic. And this team just hasn't had a lot of those guys in the past. And I think they can really make use of that, especially with how fast they want to play. I think you can really maximize that kind of a player in that kind of a system. We've seen it with the Heat for many years with guys like Duncan Robinson and Max Strus, where they, if they can just like give you enough defensively, they are a real handful on the offensive end, and you can generate some system buckets out of them, and they can make the right read, make the right play, and then just like up your 3-point volume. Like that's going to be a big piece of this too.
Yeah. So Huerter, you mentioned, and I think it was also our pal Fish in the chat just said he resurrected his career. He's a fan of Huerter. Yeah. Huerter shot just 30.2% on his threes in the 43 games with the Kings before the trade last season. Per 36, he got up 8.2 attempts. Per 36 for the Bulls in those 26 games post-trade. Pretty similar as far as volume as Goat was just talking about. 8.6 jacks per 36. Okay. But that 30.2 jumped to 37.6, which was much more aligned with the offensive weapon the NBA knew Kevin Huerter to be. Yeah. We talked a lot, and we talked to your boy, Matt George, Locked On Kings, after the trade about what's going on with Kevin Huerter? What happened to Kevin Huerter? Mm-hmm. And is that player still in there somewhere?
Yes.
And credit to Huerter, because he came in slumping hard, fresh start, new team, jacked all the shots. Yeah. If Kevin was open, he was shooting. Yeah. And 37.6, getting that back up to barely shooting 30 in the first half of your season, huge accomplishment. You got to hope that whatever he found, whatever he fixed, he can carry into this season.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I'm sure as a shooter, rhythm is violently important to you when you're out there on the floor. So he's going to continue with whatever's working for him. And honestly, you could kind of hear it in the way he was talking. It was more so all I heard, or at least I interpreted it as, I'm going to do the same thing. Like, I'm not chasing nothing. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to do the same thing, man. So expect more of that. I think the only thing we saw that was different was him actually handling the basketball. And Billy trusting him to bring the ball up a few times and kind of try to get into the offense for the Bulls. I expect that to go back down, though, because of health of the Bulls as we start the season should be pretty, a little bit better to where there are other guys that can kind of do that. But I'm not going to totally dismiss it while it's out there, because there will be lineups where maybe he's the one that needs to be doing that. But, I mean, he was great, for the Bulls. He was everything they kind of needed as a real shooter and as somebody that could fill in at the number 3 role. He knew his role. He played it great. And he said, I'm the Red Velvet. I'm about to prove it out here to y'all again.
Yeah, and even he started his Bulls career on a pretty rough shooting slump. His first
man, I
three
remember
games,
that. Yeah.
1 of 7 from the field, 1 of 4 on threes, 2 of 7, 0 of 3, and 1 of 8, 0 of 5. After that, he was 69 of 174
Nice.
for 39.7%
Hell
on
yeah.
7.6 threes per game. So like, I mean, he was an elite shooter. I think he is. But to your point, Dave, like, and he's talked about this, the style of play, the freedom, the decision making that he's just allowed to like make the read that he feels like is the best read in that moment, and just the freedom that he was playing with. Like, I think that really does help shooters get into a rhythm, and I think that's why, like, you know, Trey, for example, was happy to come back. Like, I think that matters to guys.
And a trust also that I thought Josh Giddey had in him as well, man, because he was looking for him and always trying to get him the ball so he can get his shots up.
Yeah. So with that, let us cook through our Kevin Huerter prove-its for this season. Fantasy Cast podcast in the chat has one saying, I want to see Huerter get a tech. That's a great prove-it.
Okay.
Get a tech after maybe some sort of elaborate celebration after hitting his 6th 3 in a row. Mine, of course, like, to me, it's straightforward. What I want to see Kevin Huerter do: take a lot of threes and make a lot of threes. You want to be a role player on a good team. You need to be an elite specialist at something.
Yeah.
For Kevin Huerter, that something is the 3-point line.
Okay.
So, getting his shot back up to 37, or in after that 3-game dud, 39% that Coach just pointed out for the Bulls. That's great. I want him to get back to being a 40% shooter in the NBA, which he's proved he can do, and I want him to do it on 6 attempts or more a game. And again, that is elite company.
Yeah.
Quick reminder, shout out to our old friend Zach LaVine.
Shout
of those
out.
who took at least 6 threes per game last season, he led the NBA at 44.5% on
Amazing.
7.2 attempts.
Amazing
Zach
stuff.
LaVine is great, y'all.
He really
Let's never
is.
forget that.
Yes.
Kevin Durant, also a member of that group. A few Norman Powell, a member of that group. Gary Trent Jr., nearly a member of that group. So, like, it is a short list of players who take 6 or more threes and hit them at 40% in the NBA. If you do that, you are an elite 3-point threat.
Yeah.
That's what I want Kevin Huerter to be.
Yeah, it's just that simple. Also, real quick, it's 100 y'all watching. Thank y'all for being here. Hit the like button, please. Hit the like button. Do it because Katie will come after you and yours.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Oh,
That's worse.
Like,
No.
I know it is worse because this is actually pitiful. Anyway, continue.
All right, just wanted to let y'all know, man. Hit the like button. Don't have her disappointed in you. Kevin Huerter, for me, I was gonna go with stats. I was like, no. I don't need to do all that.
No.
I know he need to shoot the ball. We need to get all that straight.
No.
What he needs to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt is that he is the starter. Not the starter. The. I went biblical on you.
Shakespearean. Forsooth.
I went on y'all. All right? You are the starter. I need him to prove that. Do you know, I told you what it was with Tre Jones and Josh Giddey and what their offensive rating was as a duo when they're on the floor. Do you know Giddey's and Red Velvet's offensive rating when they're on the floor? Because it was 125.8. That is 9th best in the league.
Hell.
That's pretty damn good. So seeing stuff like that, I'm like, oh, this is why I think he's going to start. I mean, you're not going to look at those numbers and be like, man, no. No, you're going to start that with Trey and see how it goes. It needs to continue, though. It needs to be continuous, and we need to see that consistency that I've told you that I'm sure he wants, that rhythm, that pace, all of that wonderful things that we saw. He needs to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt this is where he belongs. It's in the starting lineup, that he is the starter, the one, the only, a Red Velvet.
Just real quick before I get to mine, because I wanted to build on Matt's point, which was the 6 threes. I know that was per game, not necessarily per 36 minutes, but I'd been doing 6 3-point attempts per 36 minutes for a lot of these guys.
Yep.
Huerter shot 8.6 threes per 36 minutes with the Bulls last year. So I love that volume, and I think like that's where he needs to live. For 6 3-point attempts is like, you can shoot. You're going to get those up.
Yeah.
8 is like, I'm an elite shooter. You need to respect that. So
Yeah.
I think he needs to be right around there. And to build off of yours, Dave, in order to be a starter, for me, what does he need to do? He needs to be an effective defensive player. So I made my prove it for him. to be a positive 0.5 defensive EPM.
Let's go,
so
go.
that's going to be like
Algebra.
a lot of different like statistical categories, whether it's the steal rate, the on-off numbers, whatever it is. Like last year with the Bulls, he was plus 0.2 defensive EPM, and that was the first time in his career that he has had a positive defensive EPM. I want to see if he can not only maintain that but improve it a little bit, because I think if he does, now he might be the starter. So that's what it is for me. And just to give you a little comparison here, Okoro the last 2 years was plus 0.7, and a career high in 2023 was plus 1.1, and then Trey was minus 0.1, so slightly negative, but plus 0.5 in the year before. So I think if Huerter can get into that range, because of what he can give you offensively, it's going to be hard to take him off that starting group.
And with that, we'll go to a few minutes of overtime. If you're watching on our various streaming services and want that bonus coverage, just head to allchgo.com. So I think I love that you included a defensive goal for Huerter, because for me, I look at that player and I'm like, shoot, get him up, jack him up. Play, just give us some effort on defense. But honestly, we were kind of talking about it the other day in our Okoro versus Huerter who wins the starting spot conversation. And I was saying something along the lines of like, dude, if Huerter can prove to be a passable defender, he's got the starting spot. Much the same way, they're like, hey, if Okoro can prove to be at that same volume, a reliable 3-point threat, and his defense is that much better than Huerter's, then he's your starter. But Huerter proved, at least in a decent enough sample size, to be a not net negative defensive player for the Bulls. If he can keep that up and improve upon that a little bit, that is the starter kind of stuff.
And like if you get that and Okoro shooting, 38% on 6 threes per 36, and whatever else I did for those other guys, like now you've got some decisions to make, but it's because all of these guys are playing really well.
Yeah.
Right. And they're not only playing into their strengths, like same for Trey, same for Huerter, where it's like, I know what you guys can do on that one side of the ball, but can you do a little bit more on the other side? I think that's where you just have a really good deep rotation, right? And that's really what the Bulls are trying to do. They're trying to play 9 to 10 good players and beat teams with their depth to make up for the fact that they don't have a superstar.
Correct.
AK believes that they got one of the deepest teams in the league.
I mean,
they do.
So
they really are deep. Like we're talking about like legit 8 guys that could all start. Right? Like that's not something that a lot of teams have. And then you have some good depth beyond that. So yes, it would be better to have a star player, but they don't, and they don't really have an avenue to get one. So what do they have to do instead? Try to
be real
beat
deep
teams with their depth and with their pace of play, and just run them off the court. And if you get good defense out of your elite offensive weapons and good offense out of your elite defenders, that just plays into it.
Brazil Popular in the chat saying, yep, Huerter's been awesome. Having Trey, Huerter, Smith, and Collins on the bench is insane. We've barely talked Collins at all. He and Jalen Smith battling for minutes as well. Our guy Strick saying, I want 2 to 3 dunks. Velvet's got that bounce. Did we see any Kevin Huerter dunks last season? I feel like we got a couple.
He got a little bouncy on a couple things. Yeah.
Just a few dunks. Katie, I did not see a Queen Katie graphic alongside our Prove It's. Do you have anything you want to see from Tre Jones and or Kevin Huerter this season?
No.
No? You want to see them hit the like button. That's what you want.
I mean, I just feel like I don't know what their roles are going to be yet. We can speculate it, but I don't really know. Are we going to play 4 guards again? Then, my goal for Trey would be different if we weren't playing 4 guards again. So, I don't know. I think it's easier to, make goals for Modest when I know what we're going to see from him minutes-wise and who we're going to see him play with. But, I don't want to set expectations on these guys because I don't know what their roles are going to be. And then, same thing with Kevin. My goal for him would be different if he was starting versus if he was coming off the bench. So, nope.
All right.
Dang, Velvet.
Kevin Huerter,
not even a goal to eat a not sandwich BLT.
5 dunks with the Bulls last year, by the way.
5 dunks. 5 dunks for the Bulls in 26 games. He only had 3 dunks for the Kings in 43 games. So his dunks per game average went up with the Bulls.
More minutes, more dunks.
That's right. Katie, what were the poll results before we get out of here? What was it about? Hot dogs? When you should eat them?
It was about hot dogs because I had a hot dog for lunch.
Love it.
The question was, which meal do you associate hot dogs with? Thankfully, the loser was breakfast. 9% of the vote. Y'all need to go to a therapist. Second place was dinner with 19% of the vote. Lunch was the winner, 73% of the vote.
I feel like that's the right answer. I voted lunch.
I voted lunch.
But would I also eat a hot dog or hot dogs plural for dinner? Yes. Have and love it.
I'm okay
That's
with
all
that.
we
would.
had. Yes, definitely bad.
Breakfast is weird. I think I saw our friend Beef Dip in the chat earlier saying you can't show up to work with hot dog breath, and I think that's a fair point.
Well, brush your
Also,
teeth.
like brush your teeth. Breath mints exist.
They have things.
But I asked Beef Dip, and I was like,
Mouthwash.
what about a beef? What about eating a beef for breakfast?
Okay.
And we are in agreement that that's fair game.
So beef for breakfast is cool, but a hot dog for breakfast is no.
I would whatever's fine.
Yeah,
Just brush your teeth.
What about a sausage?
that's the answer.
What about a what?
Sausage for breakfast.
Oh,
though.
you mean a sausage?
Sausage.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about ending the show because I have somewhere to be?
Okay.
Damn.
Katie's got somewhere to be, y'all. We'll get out of here. But we'll be right back tomorrow. Same time, same place for day 3 of Bulls training camp. 4:30 Central Time is when we go live for another fresh episode. In the meantime, read Goat's feature on Rook Noah Essengue. It's awesome.
It is.
You got to be a diehard to read it.
Gotta be.
So sign up, take advantage of the diehard sale going on right now. There's
Be
the
a
QR
diehard.
code. What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
$36 for your first year.
Eat a BLT.
It's a steal.
Yeah.
And follow Go on Twitter. Will_Golly. Big Days Bow. BAWL Sports. I'm Bulls_Peck. We are CHGO Bulls. Shout out to the Queen of Controls. Miss BLT. KW.
No shout out. She gotta go.
We'll see you tomorrow. See you, Red. Be good.
Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.